Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to watch sounds impossible. But the strangest part is not that one man married 200 women in one day. The strangest part is why he did it. My name is Patience. Welcome to Etanalog. Church bells echoed through the enormous wedding hall. Rows upon rows of beautifully dressed brides stretched farther than the eyes could see. Some were smiling, some were nervous. Some could not stop looking at the handsome young man standing at the altar. The guests whispered among themselves, "This can't be real. How is this even happening? Who is he?" Camera flashes lit up the hall every few seconds. News reporters stood outside. Even people watching online could not believe what they were seeing. At the center of it all stood one man, Andrew Maxwell. He wore a perfectly tailored black suit. His expression never changed. Calm, confident, almost emotionless. The priest looked exhausted already. He adjusted his glasses before speaking. "Andrew Maxwell, do you take this woman as your lawful wife?" Andrew smiled gently. Instead of answering with words, he raised both hands. His fingers moved gracefully through sign language. An assistant standing beside him immediately translated. "He says I do." The bride smiled with tears in her eyes. "I do." The hall erupted into applause. The rings were exchanged. The marriage certificate was signed. Another wife. Andrew smiled politely before walking toward the next bride. And then the next. And the next. Hours passed. Yet the wedding continued. One bride after another. One vow after another. One signature after another. The guests became more confused with every passing minute. A journalist whispered to another, "I've covered weddings for 20 years. I've never seen anything like this." Another replied, "I stopped counting after 70. By sunset, Andrew was still standing, still smiling, still exchanging vows. His hands moved through sign language with the same confidence. Every response was translated. Every marriage became official. The cameras never stopped recording. Outside, millions of people had already started arguing online. "This has to be fake. No woman would agree to this. Is this man crazy? What kind of billionaire is this?" Inside the hall, the wedding finally reached its end. The priest took a deep breath. "Andrew Maxwell, this is your 200th marriage today." Silence filled the hall. Andrew looked around slowly. Then he picked up his phone. He typed a short message. He turned the screen toward the cameras. It read, "Thank you for accepting me." The crowd clapped loudly. Some brides cried. Others hugged him. But one person was watching everything from a television screen. She couldn't breathe. Her hands trembled. Tears rolled down her face before she even realized it. On the screen, the reporter smiled into the camera. "We can now officially confirm Andrew Maxwell has married 200 women today." The remote control slipped from the woman's hand. It crashed onto the floor. She whispered through tears, "No, no, he wouldn't." She stared at the wedding ring on her finger. Her name was Helen Maxwell, Andrew's wife, and she didn't see this coming. Helen Maxwell stood frozen. The television kept playing. Andrew Maxwell has officially married 200 women today. She couldn't hear anything else. Her heart pounded. Her hands shook. "No, this can't be real." She quickly grabbed her phone and dialed Andrew's number. The call rang. No answer. She called again. Still nothing. Again. Nothing. Her breathing became heavier. For the first time since their marriage, Helen was afraid. Not because Andrew had cheated. Andrew never cheated. He never looked at another woman while they were together. Even when beautiful women openly flirted with him, he always walked away. That was the man she married. So what happened? Why would he suddenly marry 200 women? Helen wiped away her tears. "No, he wouldn't do this to me." She rushed out of the house. Her driver had barely stopped the car before she jumped out. Reporters surrounded the wedding venue. Cameras flashed everywhere. "Mrs. Maxwell, Mrs. Maxwell, did you know about today's wedding? Are you divorcing him? What do you have to say?" Helen ignored every question. She pushed through the crowd until she finally entered the hall. The celebration had already ended. Hundreds of brides were laughing together. Some were taking pictures. Others were introducing themselves. Andrew stood quietly in the middle of them, still wearing his wedding suit. The moment he saw Helen, he smiled. That smile only made her angrier. She walked straight to him. Without saying a word, she slapped him. The entire hall fell silent. Every camera turned toward them. Andrew slowly touched his cheek. He didn't look angry. He didn't look embarrassed. Instead, he reached into his pocket. He brought out a small notebook. He wrote a sentence. Then, he held it up for Helen. "Are you finished?" Helen stared at the words. "You married 200 women. You embarrassed me. You destroyed our marriage." Andrew calmly turned the page. He wrote again. "No." Then another sentence. "You destroyed it first." Helen's eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" Andrew looked at her quietly. His fingers moved through sign language. An elderly man standing nearby translated. "He says, you already know." Helen immediately looked away. "I don't know anything." Andrew smiled sadly. He wrote another sentence. "Really?" Helen's voice became louder. "So this is your excuse? You married 200 women because of one small misunderstanding?" Andrew looked into her eyes. Then he slowly shook his head. 1, 2, 3. He continued writing. This time, he handed her the notebook instead of showing it to everyone. Helen looked down. Her face slowly changed. The words were simple. "I begged you. I waited. I respected your decision. I never forced you. I never cheated." Then the final sentence. "But you thought I had nowhere else to go." Helen froze. Her lips trembled. She remembered every argument. Every time she turned away from him. Every time she confidently said, "What are you going to do? No woman would ever want a man like you." Andrew gently took the notebook back. He wrote one final sentence, then turned it toward her. "You were wrong." Helen looked around. For the first time, she noticed the 200 women. None of them looked forced. None of them looked afraid. They were smiling, talking, laughing, as if they had willingly chosen to be there. Helen's confidence disappeared. She whispered, "Why?" Andrew looked at her for several seconds. Then, he simply lowered his head, picked up his phone, typed a message, and handed it to Helen. She read it, then slowly covered her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. 3 weeks. That was how long it took for Helen Maxwell to realize Andrew wasn't joking. He wasn't trying to scare her. And he definitely wasn't planning to divorce the 200 women. Every single marriage was real. Every morning, Andrew left the mansion. His schedule never changed. Monday, he visited one group of wives. Tuesday, another group. Wednesday, more wives. Every woman had her own mansion. Every woman had security. Every woman had servants. Every woman was living comfortably. Andrew made sure of it. He treated every wife with respect. If one was sick, he visited her. If one needed something, he made sure she got it. If one wanted to spend time with him, he showed up. Helen watched everything. Every single day. It felt like someone was stabbing her heart repeatedly. One afternoon, she sat alone in her office. Her lawyer walked in with several files. "Mrs. Maxwell, you need to sign these." Helen wasn't paying attention. "What are they?" "The monthly expenses." She signed absent-mindedly. The lawyer hesitated. "Ma'am, I think you should look at them first." Helen finally opened the file. Her eyes widened. Hundreds of transactions. Luxury houses. Luxury cars. House maintenance. Staff salaries. Medical bills. Security expenses. Everything for Andrew's wives. Helen looked up slowly. Whose account is paying for all this? The lawyer swallowed nervously. "Yours." Silence. Complete silence. Helen blinked twice. "What?" The lawyer lowered his head. "Legally, everything Andrew owns belongs to you. He became wealthy after your marriage, so the wives are technically being taken care of with your money." Helen couldn't believe it. She laughed. Not because it was funny, because the pain was becoming unbelievable. "So I'm paying for my husband's 200 wives?" The lawyer quietly nodded. Helen leaned back in her chair. She covered her face. This can't be happening. That evening, Andrew returned home. For the first time in weeks, he came to visit Helen. He walked into the living room, carrying a small paper bag. Helen looked at him, then at the bag. Andrew smiled. He removed her favorite snacks, the same ones he always bought before everything changed. He placed them gently on the table. Helen stared at him. "You still remember?" Andrew smiled again. He nodded. Then he wrote on his phone. "Of course." Helen felt tears gathering again. "You still love me?" Andrew looked at her for several seconds. then typed one word. Always. Helen's lips trembled. If you love me, why are you doing this? Andrew looked down. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he typed another message, then handed her the phone. Helen read it. Because I also love myself. She froze. Andrew took the phone back. He typed again. You wanted me to believe that I needed only you. Another message appeared. I wanted you to understand that I never did. Helen couldn't hold back anymore. She burst into tears. Andrew stood there quietly, watching her cry. He wanted to comfort her. He wanted to hug her. But he didn't. Instead, he slowly turned around and walked toward the door. Helen quickly stood. Andrew! He stopped. She took one step forward. Where are you going? Andrew looked at his phone, typed a message, then showed it to her. Helen read it. Her heart broke all over again. My schedule. Wife number 38 is waiting for me. Andrew gave her one last gentle smile, then walked out. Helen stood there alone. The sound of the closing door echoed through the mansion, and she got angry. 1 month later, Helen Maxwell was no longer crying. She was no longer begging. She was no longer waiting for Andrew to change his mind. She sat quietly in her office. A smile slowly appeared on her face. If he wants to prove a point, then I'll prove mine. The next morning, Andrew arrived at another mansion. One of his wives welcomed him happily. Before he could even enter, his phone vibrated. One message, then another, then another. His lawyers, his accountants, his managers. Andrew frowned. He quickly opened the first message. Sir, all monthly funding has stopped. Another message. The staff's salaries were rejected. Another. House maintenance payments have been frozen. Andrew immediately turned toward his driver. He signed quickly. Take me home. An hour later, Andrew walked into the mansion. Helen was waiting for him. She looked calmer than she had in weeks. Andrew quickly typed on his phone. What happened? Helen smiled. I happened. Andrew looked confused. She slowly placed several documents on the table. I've spent weeks crying, weeks blaming myself. But then I remembered something. She leaned forward. I'm the billionaire. Andrew remained silent. Helen continued. You became rich because you married me. You used my money to build a life for 200 women. She pushed another document toward him. I've frozen every allowance, every account, every payment. Andrew stared at her. Helen folded her arms. If they married you, then let them live with what belongs to you. Andrew lowered his eyes. For the first time, he had no immediate answer. Days passed. Some women remained loyal. Some quietly left. Some packed their bags before sunrise. Others filed for divorce. Andrew never stopped them. Every divorce paper, he signed peacefully. One by one, the number began to fall. 200, 183, 150, 112, until one afternoon, Andrew walked back into the mansion. Helen looked at his hand, then at him. Andrew slowly walked toward her. He placed some certificates on the table. Then he placed one final paper beside them. Helen picked it up. It wasn't a divorce paper. It was a handwritten note. She read it quietly. I proved my point. You proved yours. Now, can we stop trying to win and start trying to save our marriage? Please, baby. Helen read the note again, then again, and finally, she laughed and tore the paper. You haven't seen anything yet. Fear rushed through Andrew's body instantly. His face turned pale. Before you go, tell me what you think about this story in the comments. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.